Hi students, in this video we will practice more about prepositions. When English speakers talk about time and place, there are three little words that often come up, which is in, on, at. These common words are prepositions that show a relationship between two words in a sentence. A preposition is a word that links a noun, pronoun, or phrase to some other part of the sentence. So this is a very good picture about talking specific, what all comes under time and location. So if we take a look at the left side, we'll see it's the preposition of time, because in, on, at is used for both prepositions of time and prepositions of location, which is on the right side. So starting with the preposition of time, now different prepositions can be used to indicate time in specific ways. So here, if I talk about in, which is more general, so I can use for time, I can use it for centuries, for decades, for years, for months, and for weeks. And if I want to be more specific, so I can use it for days and weekends. And if I am very specific, then I will use for hours. And on the other hand, when we talk about the location, so if we use in, I am going to use in for the countries, for cities, and for neighborhood. And also, if I want to use it for more specific, on, so I'm going to use it for streets and avenues. And if I want to be very specific, then I can use at address and specific locations. And we'll do loads of practice of these time and location prepositions ahead. So let's start. Now, starting with the preposition of time, which is in. So in is used to express events taking place during lengthy periods of time, such as a month or a year. So let's take a look at a few examples. She was born in 1979. Everyone takes breakfast in the morning. We went to see glaciers in the summer. We are going on holiday in October. It's always cold in winter. My birthday comes in September. I will visit my grandma in 2 weeks' time. My exams will end in June. Now moving on to the preposition of time, which is on. Like in, this is used for more specific points in time, like we already discussed. In this case, you use this preposition to indicate particular dates or days. So let's take a look at a few examples here. I was so excited on the first day of my job. They will meet us on 12th December. She was really nervous on her wedding day. He was born on 15th November. Where are you traveling on New Year's Eve? Do you want to work on weekends? I need to submit the assignment on 18th of this month. He's shifting his house on Sunday. Alright, so moving on to the preposition of time, which is at. At is used to indicate a specific time. So let's take a look at a few examples. We are reaching at 10 p.m. today. I have a video call sharp at 9 a.m. We went for a long drive at midnight. He went to meet his friend at lunchtime. We completed the test at the same time. He's currently not at home. I'm busy at the moment. We finally reached the beach at sunset time. Now, apart from on and it, we also have since and few more prepositions of time. Now, since is used like an extended time. We can use since. For example, I have lived in London since 2010. I haven't seen Maria since last week. I haven't spoken to Tom since we last met. It has been raining since yesterday. I have known Sam since he was born. I've been with Amek since 2002. It's been 5 years since he left the place. I've had this doll since I was 12. Alright, the next is for. Again, we use it for extended time. So the examples are, he will be in Brisbane for 3 weeks. We use it for cutting grass. We are cooking for our team tonight. That croissant was for Mom. I'll be really busy for the next few hours. Did you look in the closet for your jacket? He kept a free ticket for his best friend. Is that cookie for me? Alright, moving on to by. I will submit my presentation by tomorrow. I'll finish my homework by 5 p.m. I will have visited the museum by next week. She will be there by Friday. I'll come back from my holiday by the end of June. I shall open my account latest by April. Please send us the proposal by Monday. You must leave the hotel premises by 12 p.m. So this again is used for the extended time. Moving on to during. So during that particular time, Sarah went to Hills during summer. He works part-time during his holidays. I usually drive during off-peak time. My phone rang during my meeting. I had tea and snacks during the concert. I met my old friend during the party. Katie fell asleep during the lesson. It snowed during the night. So again, the duration comes in here. The next is how we use from to together in one sentence, or from till until, and then within, how to use these. So the first example is, I'll collect data from June to December. They will be in school from January until September. I will visit your city from 5th June to 10th June. The results will be delivered within a week's time. She will stay in guest house from March until May. You should stay within your limits. So here from and to and from and until, we have the specific time duration, and for within we have a duration. Now moving on to the preposition of place. To refer to a place, use the prepositions in, which is the point itself. At is used for the general vicinity. On is used for the surface, and inside is used for something inside contained. So we are going to begin with in. Now here it is the location. Always remember, something is kept somewhere or something is placed somewhere. Now here you see the first example. Do you work in an office? The planet Saturn is in the solar system. Do you live in Australia? There are beautiful roses in the garden. I kept all the chocolate pies in the box. I left my bag in the car. There is a swimming pool in the building. I have less money in my wallet. Now let's see the preposition of place or location for on. So he left his phone on the table. I hung my favorite painting on the dining wall. I could see a spider web on the ceiling. There was still some dust left on the carpet. Mostly the famous celebrities can be found on the cover page. I heard someone knocking on the door. You are standing on my foot. I live on the 10th floor. So let's see preposition of place for location, at. I waited for my friend at the bus stop. So you remember it is used for the specific location. You can find out about the meeting time at the front desk. The reception is at the entrance of the office. I'll not have much time to call at work. The bell rang at the door. I've kept the flower vase at the corner of the room. My plane took a halt at Dubai airport. Now, prepositions of place, location for over and above. Now, where do we use over and above? We use it to refer to an object higher than a point. That's when we use. So we use above when there is no movement, and we use over when there is movement. So one is it's kept higher, and the second is about the movement. So let's take a look at a few examples here. The mug was kept on the shelf above the plates. We put a sun umbrella over the table. I've kept the key above the almirah. The bird flew over the tree. The chandelier hangs above the lounge room table. The big tree fell over the bridge. Our neighbors who live above our apartment are nice. He pushed it over the edge. So if you see here where all we have used above, there is no movement. However, where we have used over, there is some movement. So this is the difference between over and above. Now the next one is below, under, beneath, underneath. Now there is definitely a very slight difference between all these. So to refer to an object lower than a point, we use the preposition below, beneath, under, and underneath. Now starting with the under, under is used when something is directly under another. Like my dog usually sleeps under the bed. Underneath is often used to say something that is covered by another thing. Like, I'm wearing a warmer underneath the jacket. Beneath has the same meanings as under or underneath, but it's formal literary word. So for formal writing, we use beneath, like coral reefs that lie beneath the waters were an amazing sight. Below is preferred when something is in a lower position but in the same building, hill, part of the body as another thing. For example, basements are dug below the ground. Please do not keep anything below the stairs. A river flows under the bridge. My cat always hides beneath the sofa. The letter was pushed underneath the door. So I hope this clarifies now. All right, so let's move on to the next one, which is between, beside, and next to. Again, students make a little mess when they use these prepositions. So let's start with the between. Between normally refers to something in the middle of two objects or things or places. Like, there are mountains between the hills. The English Channel is between England and France. Now we use next to and beside, it means the same. It usually refers to a thing that is at the side of another thing, like the grocery store is next to the station, the bride stands next to the groom, park your car next to the garage. He walked beside me as we went down the street. I usually walk on the footpath beside the road. My best friend will always stand beside me. Now there is a slight difference. There are two words we have. One is beside and the second is besides with an S. So we need to know the difference because there is quite a lot difference between the two words. So please don't get confused. So let's take a look at that. Now here, beside means close to or next to, like we already just talked about. We all sat beside the fire and barbecued. Besides, on the other hand, means in addition to or apart from. Besides is also a preposition. It can also serve as an adverb that means furthermore or another thing. Now, if you take a look at examples, I'm too tired to go shopping. Besides, it's too hot outside. So here, besides means apart from or in addition to. It does not mean close to or next to. Besides the award, there was a video shoot of the winner. Again, besides means in addition to. So this is the major difference between beside and besides. Now let's see preposition of place in front of and behind. It's quite simple, I know. So the first behind is the opposite of in front of. It means at the back of something. In front of means in front of something, right? So the first example is the dramatic performance happened in front of the audience. The fitness coach stands in front of his trainees. A very tall girl was sitting in front of me. Sorry for the spellings from sitting. Dress up in front of the mirror. The teacher was standing behind the students during exams. The trash can is behind the chair. She left the dirty plates behind the table. Do not run behind the car. All right, so the next one is across. and opposite. Across and opposite again mean the same thing. It usually refers to something being in front of something else, but there is normally something between them like a street or table. It is similar to saying that someone or a place is on the other side of something. So let's take a look at a few examples. We walked across the Oxford Street. The airplane was flying across the Atlantic. One can see a bridge across the river. They have numerous offices across Europe. The chess players sat opposite each other. This bank is opposite the supermarket. My house is opposite Betty's home. The cars were moving in opposite directions. So here you see, in every sentence there is something coming in between. So this is where we use across or opposite. Now the next one is near or close to. Near and close to again mean the same thing. It is similar to next to or beside, but there is more of a distance between the two things. So remember, near and close to is at a distance. It's a little farther than the other ones. So the example is, I lived near the lake. Pull your chair near the teacher's table. She comes from a small town near Venice. My dad loves to sit near the fire at night. She sat close to her mother. We passed close to the park and saw a peacock. The boy was standing close to the corridor. Quite close to the barn was a garden. Now moving on to along and towards. So here, towards and toward are prepositions. Again, we use where preposition is on some other side of something. So for example, we walked along the river bank. There are many watchtowers along the Great Wall of China. There are quite few shops along the road. The students walked along the corridor. The oil pollution is now moving towards the shore. He kicked the ball towards the goal net. The traffic police pointed towards the overspeed car. Now, into and onto. So we use into and onto for the movement. Into and onto are used with verbs showing movement. They show both the direction and the result of the movement. So the first example is, she walked into the cafe, put the fruits into the basket, dive into the lake. Hannah placed the cake into the oven. The kids ran onto the road. The students jumped onto the balloons. He threw his keys and wallet onto the table. So you know the difference now, right? Now let's do some more practice. So we know now what all prepositions are, and we also did verb practice in my previous video. So how can we combine the verb and the prepositions together in a sentence? So there are some common types. So let's take a look at that. So where I can use to, about, with, of. These are the prepositions. So to, add to, adjust to, admit to, appeal to, belong to, compare to, confess to, contribute to, explain to, get married to, listen to. About, argue about, boast about, care about, complain about, concern about, dream about, feel about, forget about, hear about, joke about, know about. With, agree with, argue with, begin with, collide with, complain with, concern with, confuse with, cope with, cover with, charge with, disagree with, of, approve of, accuse of, bulk out of, compose of, conceive of, consist of, convict of, convince of. We have more to go. So let's see here. Object to, react to, refer to, reply to, respond to, see to, speak to, subscribe to, sentence to, talk to, turn to, write to, laugh about, quarrel about, talk about, think about, tell about, worry about, write about, warn about, discuss with, face with, fight with, help with, interfere with, meet with, present with, provide with, quarrel with, share with, trust with, dream of, get rid of, get tired of, hear of, remind of, suspend of, think of, cure of, despair of. Alright, so that was the verbs plus prepositions, and let's take a look at adjectives plus prepositions. So how can we use adjectives and prepositions together? So starting with of, accused of, ashamed of, aware of, afraid of, capable of, careful of, envious of, fond of, full of, guilty of, hopeful of. With at, annoyed at, amazed at, angry at, astonished at, awful at, bad at, brilliant at, clever at, delighted at, disappointed at, excellent at. Within, comfortable in, connected in, disappointed in, excellent in, experienced in, interest in, impolite in, polite in, present in, skilled in, slow in. With from, absent from, derived from, different from, free from, made from, safe from. With by, amazed by, astonished by, delighted by, disturbed by, excited by, fascinated by, impressed by, inspired by, puzzled by, shocked by, surprised by. So I hope this was a quite good practice on the verbs and adjectives usage with the prepositions. Now, a very important part which is left now, which is prepositional phrase. So what is a prepositional phrase? A prepositional phrase is a group of words consisting of a preposition, its object, and any other words that modify the object. So let's take a look at the sentence and find out what is a preposition, what is an object, where all lies where. So the sentence is, the cat in the middle is the cutest. Now, in is a preposition. In the middle is a prepositional phrase because the cat is a noun, then we have a prepositional phrase, and then we have the object of the preposition, which is middle, and the object. So prepositional phrase is a group of words that consists of preposition, its object, which is middle, which will be noun or pronoun, and any other words that modify the object. So I have put it down in some interesting way so that it's easier for us to use the prepositional phrase in. So let's see: in time, in demand, in anticipation, in danger, in debt, in detail, in fact, in future, in flames, in demand, in haste, in favor of, in existence, in exchange for, in real terms, in good condition, in honor of, in high spirits, in excess of, in good faith, in harmony. Now with at a glance, at a distance, at high speed, at a loss, at the outset, at a discount, at noon, at liberty, at the rate of, at one's request, at peace, at one time, at all events, at a fraction of, at the end, at length, at an advantage, at least, at a low price, at last, at night. Then with on schedule, on the record, on the road, on a diet, on a journey, on a trip, on a pension, on large scale, on a regular basis, on the brink of, on a spree, on an expedition, on the edge of, on the outskirts, on the dot, on strike, on behalf of, on board, on the assumption, on approval, on account of. With by all means, by nature, by chance, by far, by the name of, by law, on a pension, sorry, that's coming from on, by courtesy of, by appointment, by profession, by hand, by mistake, by oneself, by force, by definition, by check, by virtue of, by birth, by way of, by heart, by coincidence. Without, out of fashion, out of breath, out of control, out of date, out of curiosity, out of jealousy, out of context, out of sight, out of ideas, out of practice, out of work, out of order, out of the ordinary, out of pity, out of reach, out of stock, out of print, out of one's mind, out of respect for. That's too much. Then we have for good, for granted, for hire, for the benefit of, for love, for a change, for approval, for real, for credit, bid for a reason, for a good cause, hatred for, desire for, admiration for a certain period, demand for, out of respect for. All right, so the last step is the activities, which the first very good activity is a promptu. So this is a quick warm-up that can also be used as a kind of test at the end of your preposition unit. The way it works is that you put a picture up on the screen like I've done that lends itself to lots of prepositions. So it can be a desk or a table with lots of stuff on it, or a messy house. And the second activity can be touch and say. So this is a well-known language teaching methodology, and it works very good with the prepositions. You could have to say, take a look at on the table, in front of the car, under your chair, behind the teacher. So ask the students about that. So thank you for watching the video. Keep watching more English grammar videos and don't forget to subscribe to my channel.